Okay, this is the last video that I'll be making for the summer course on corrections. Prior to the 1600s, sanctions for crime were pretty brutal. Beheading, stoning, hanging, crucifixion, boiling, burning, flogging, and branding. Not too pleasant. Early punishments were directed more towards inflicting pain, humiliating the offender, and taking away the offender's property in an effort not only to punish but also to deter onlookers and other citizens. This was the first test of deterrence theory. When confinement was used, it was to achieve religious indoctrination and spiritual reformation, as during the Inquisition of the 1100s, to hold and punish slaves, or to quarantine disease, as was done during the bubonic plague of the 14th century. Life for the offender has become a little easier when offenders were banished to the wilderness. Now offenders are banished to prisons in remote areas like Susanville or Blythe, California, or in crowded, anonymous urban areas like Los Angeles. While modern incarceration gives lip service to changing the offender's character, it's still banishment. Inmates are isolated from mainstream society, which causes prisonization, which we'll talk about later. Another advancement over early brutality was transportation. Inmates were transported from their home area to work colonies. Transportation is still used, with adolescents sent to work camps. It was not until the 1600s and 1700s that institutional confinement was used as a major form of punishment. During the late 1700s, an Italian, Cesare Beccaria, and others began a prison reform movement. Beccaria and two friends, Pietro and Alessandro Verri, formed a society dedicated to waging relentless war against economic disorder, bureaucratic petty tyranny, religious narrow-mindedness, and intellectual pedantry, called Academy of Fists. This group of men assigned various topics to each other. Then they would thoroughly research their topic before reporting back to the academy. Beccaria was assigned prisons. He eventually published a book on crimes and punishment, which set the theoretical tone for prison reform. Beccaria's theory had three tenets. Individuals possess free will, individuals behave in a rational manner, individuals could be manipulated to change. Beccaria wrote that there was a need for criminal justice system, and the government had the right to have laws and punishments. He believed that people who choose to live in a society give up certain personal liberties in exchange for safety and comfort. Laws are the conditions of a society of free-willed, rational individuals. He also wrote that the severity of punishment should parallel the severity of the harm resulting from the crime. The punishment should be severe enough to outweigh the pleasure obtainable from the crime. Another reformer of the same period was John Howard. He was an English sheriff who found that prisoners were living in poor, disorderly, and abusive conditions. He advocated safe, humane, and orderly prisons that would instill discipline. He believed that there should be religious teachings, hard work, and solidarity, which would promote introspection and penance. While Beccaria's book outlined the theory of what should be, and Howard's work provided the operationalization based on visits to actual prisons. A third influential figure was Jeremy Bentham, who impacted prison life. He believed that order and reform could be aided by the design of the prison. His model of an effective prison design was called a panopticon. The Presidio in Cuba is an example. Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia is an example in this country. Just to regress a bit, Eastern State set the standards for penal reform in the United States. It was an 11-acre prison that had central heat, running water, and flush toilets before the White House. Al Capone was incarcerated in this